Welcome to New Tracks Modeling. New Tracks provides unique mentoring opportunities to enhance your modeling skills by connecting with talented modelers and manufacturers from around the globe who generously share their knowledge and artistic expertise. Build your confidence, refine modeling techniques, and share your projects with a supportive community of fellow modelers, all while enjoying the world's most rewarding hobby. Join us every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern on Zoom and YouTube for our free live program. Missed a program? No problem. Individual show segments are uploaded to YouTube for convenient on-demand viewing. Be sure to connect with the New Tracks community by joining the New Tracks Facebook page, where you can interact with other modelers and see what they are modeling. Visit our website at www.newtracksmodeling.com, where you'll find information about upcoming events and the latest issue of our magazine, New Tracks Modeler. New Tracks Modeler features articles from builds on the show, exciting new products, and other great articles. And now, here is the host of New Tracks Modeling, Tom Farrell.
Good evening, and welcome to New Tracks Modeling, a live Zoom and YouTube show that airs every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. The show's uploaded to YouTube after it ends, and the segments are posted separately if you'd like to review them later. Jim Kello, Master Model Railroader and New Tracks mentor, founded New Tracks Modeling approximately 5 years ago. Jim established New Tracks Modeling to create a supportive educational community where mentors help modelers enhance their modeling skills. New Tracks Modeling Live extends beyond this program. Our family of platforms include a Facebook page, a dedicated website, and the New Tracks Modeler digital magazine. We're also excited to continue expanding the New Tracks Modeling Scholarship Program, an initiative you'll hear more about later in the show. Everything we do is entirely free for our participants. Our entire team is made up of volunteers who support New Tracks Modeling and the model railroading community. Before we get a full head of steam on this evening's program, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Brennan's Model Railroading.
Tonight's New Tracks Modeling Meetup is sponsored by Brennan's Model Railroading. For over 25 years, Brennan's Model Railroading has been offering unique products focused on the O-scale market. Their flagship product, Brennan's Better Ballast, was an instant hit and continues to be the industry leader. The prototypical size and natural color blend of real crushed granite make it the choice for discerning modelers. Since then, Brennan's has developed a complementary line of natural ground cover materials. Brennan's also has craftsman kits that anyone can build. The complete photographically illustrated instructions assume you've never done this before, and explain in step-by-step detail how to create an outstanding model. The Frank Ellison Tribute series of kits are amazing additions to any layout. These kits take Frank Ellison's scratch-built iconic structures to a new level using modern methods and materials with Dennis Brennan's additional details and amazing instructions. See the complete line of products on the Brennan's Model Railroading website.
Now let's take a look at what's ahead on this evening's program. We're going to start off with what do you want to talk about? The subject is what's on your workbench. I'll be hosting that, and Phil will be assisting me. Then we're going to have part 2 of Dennis Brennan's layout that he featured about a month ago. It's a high rail O-scale layout that he's been updating. And I don't know, I lost, what are we doing here? And then we have, sorry, wasn't me. And then all the way from Australia, we've got a Watch Me Build, a scratch build corrugated metal goods shed. I've seen this presentation. This model is excellent by Craig Veitch. I believe I said that correctly. And he's a first-time presenter. And then we'll have our close and then a caboose featuring Dick Tomlinson's Michigan Shoreline. But before we get rolling, we'd like to highlight our New Tracks Mentoring Scholarship. And here's a brief video on that initiative.
The New Tracks Modeling Mentoring Scholarship is the only national scholarship for model railroaders from a volunteer nonprofit organization. For academic year 2025-26, we are awarding 4 $2,000 scholarships for model railroaders pursuing a STEAM degree. We hope to award a similar number of scholarships for the 2026-27 academic year. We believe it is critical to support the next generation of model railroaders. You can support the New Tracks Modeling Mentoring Scholarship by donating online using the Zephy platform or directly by check. All donations are tax deductible.
I'm not sure if we have any of the officers from the New Tracks Mentoring Scholarship on the program this evening. Is Hank Primus on or Bob Davidson? No. Well, then I'll speak briefly on the scholarship. For those that are new to the program, for the last 3 years, New Tracks Mentoring Scholarship Program has given out its first, has given out last year 4 $2,000 scholarships to students that are taking a STEAM program at a university or a technical school. Our emphasis right now is not so much fundraising, well, that's always important. What we'd really like some support on is showcasing the scholarship to the potential applicants. Our problem at the moment is not funding the scholarships. It is having enough applicants that we can choose the very best people, students, to receive the award. So if you attend a club or a show, spread the word, and let's see if we can get more applicants than we had previous years and make it a difficult choice to choose who gets this deserving scholarship. So now I'd like to start the show, and we're going to do a little free-for-all. We're going to start with a what's on your workbench and put this to our Zoomers. And I'm just going to call on some people randomly. And we've did this with great success in the past, and I thought we'd try it again this evening. And I'll pick a couple of people I know just to get things going, and then I'll pick people that I don't know. So I'm going to start with Earl Hackett, because I am really interested in what he's doing in his Thurman, West Virginia project. I wanted to know if he had any updates. And where are you, Earl, with your Thurman, West Virginia?
Yeah, well, I'm here. What I'm working on right now is the bridge across the New River. I have it on my other screen here. I'll see if I can bring it up. Let's see, share screen. Sure, I've never done this with the 2 monitors before.
Tell us while you're looking for that, what do you make? Are you doing a 3D print of that, or you?
Yes, it's probably going to be about 15 or 20 3D prints to build it. Let me see.
There you go.
Share screen. Did you see it?
We did briefly.
Oh, I'm sorry. I clicked it off. I said, hey, I'm so brilliant here. Okay, share. Hey, you got it?
In a moment. There we go.
Okay, there you go. This is the Warren Truss portion of the bridge. There's actually 3 sections here. These 2 sections over here are mirror images of each other. Of these 2, there's the A section here, I call it, the B section, C section, This section here is a mirror of this one, and this piece over here, I just don't have it added. I have someone hit it out because for editing. But this thing is going to be a real bugger to build. The part that really gets me is this entrance lattice here. This is going to be a bugger. But you can see it's just all kinds of very fine lattice work. Putting in what I have here, this is what I call the outline model. If I put in all the detail, the rivets and all the other crap, it takes it about 3 or 4 minutes to do a backup to load. So this has been stripped of all the detail. It's just the basic outlines of the various components.
Are you going to print it in components and then assemble it, or is it one?
Oh yeah. There's each one of those sections would be a print, and there's an upper and lower section. Of course, I have to build the lower section here, which would be the stringers and the lower cords. They'll be installed. Then I can put the track down. Then you can take this truss section and drop it on top. Because if I build it like this, I can't get in there to install the rails.
Oh yeah, right.
So if I zoom in here. No, not that one. Go at the other end here. The every third tie, these little lumps here are there to space the ties, so the ties get properly spaced. On a bridge, the ties are much closer together. And every third tie, they had a 2x8 or 2x10 sticking out the side that held walkways on either side, plus a little fence, little picket fence that went along. All this stuff, all these pieces will all be printed up as a lower section. The stringers, these I call them the rope bed. And what I've done to position the rails, you can see I have a little notch here. The rail's just going to sit right in there. That'll gauge it. And so all I have to do is run a bead of glue on the bottom of the rail, stick it in there, and it'll be all gauged. So it's it'll make the. I have no idea how I do it any other way. I did it once before on a deck girder bridge on my other layout. I can't remember how I did it.
And if I know you, you're closely following the prototype on all of it.
Yeah, this is smack on to the prototype. It's as close as I can get it. There are no drawings of this bridge that are worth anything. I went there, I measured all the girders, so I have all the girder dimensions. And then I'm using photographs to determine how many plates. I couldn't measure the height of the thing. I do know that the clearance to the bottom of this lattice work here is 20 feet from the railhead. So there's a series of them that go all the way along, so I know that. And I get from, there's some line drawings that sort of show but more of a sketch than a drawing.
Now, how old is this particular bridge?
207 feet.
That's the length. What year did they put that up?
I think the 1912, 15 time frame.
So
it's been up there over 100. It's been over 100 years old.
It's the original bridge then.
No, this is the second bridge. The original bridge was a 2 spans, and they were Warren trusses, and they were very lightweight. And when the coal traffic really started to build up, they had to build a heavier structure. This only goes about a third of the way across the actual river. The rest is deck girders that continue on, and I'll have 3 deck girders on the end. The real one had about 7 or 8. It's a hugely long bridge, but over in this area over here, it's just floodplain. It's the river, the water, the normal water exists just under the truss here.
Now at present, as I recall, since I've actually been there, there's a auto bridge that runs parallel to this. You won't be modeling
right. That's what these supports are for here.
Oh, you're gonna model that?
Oh yeah, absolutely,
well,
absolutely.
Okay.
I don't mess around with these things.
I walked across that. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's quite a project.
Yeah, this is the also working on the these are the bulwark, the structure, the base, we call them bulwarks
Pier.
or the piers or whatever you want to
Pier.
call them.
Yeah.
This guy over here is a pier. I can't. There's another term for the one at the end on the shore. But at any rate, this is all stonework and everything. I've already printed. This guy here I've already printed with stonework and everything else on it. So it's ready to go.
Are there any questions from the Zoom audience on to
Pardon?
Earl? Any questions for Earl?
Oh, shoot. Yeah. Glad to take them.
You have to unmute yourselves. No?
All righty.
Okay. Well, that's a fantastic project.
Yeah, I've got to get this thing done so I can start laying track over on the other side of the river. till I know where these light rails are actually going to come out, I can't do anything over there.
That's excellent model. You have, as I recall from Thurman, since I have it in my head, there's a concrete coal tower.
Yep.
There's
I'm modeling from just beyond the coal tower to just beyond the switch to the freight depot. And it's all modeled exactly as it existed on the ground. I just took the track plan and shrunk it to HO scale.
What year are you modeling?
48, 52, that time frame.
So there should be more buildings there than are now.
Oh yeah,
right?
oh yeah. The freight house is still there. The hotel was still there. The Lafayette Hotel.
Yeah.
The armor plant was still there. Yeah, there were a lot. And my biggest problem right now is getting. I didn't do a good job of photographing the houses. Getting measurements on the homes because they line the river, and there's some up on the hillside where you can see them from in the fall winter. You can see them. The fall, the spring, they're pretty much invisible. But,
Are you? I'm sure you're aware of the sordid history of that hotel.
Oh, you're thinking about the Dunglen across
Oh
the
yeah,
river.
yeah, right. Yeah,
that was pretty something else. Yeah.
that was debauchery. They said there was a murder a day there.
Oh yeah, it was a bad place.
Yeah, I'd say so. Well,
Yeah,
don't cross the river. That's all I can say. Well, thank you, Earl, and we look forward to a full-blown presentation on this when you get it a little further along and you start putting things to your printer. Yeah.
Yeah, I should be getting things into the printer in the next 6 weeks or so.
Oh, maybe we'll
And
see.
once you get it down to where you can put it in the printer, it goes very, very fast. But getting all the detail done right on this is it's really time consuming.
Is it a resin printer or the filament?
Yes, oh yeah, you couldn't do this on a filament printer with the detail I want.
It's going to look fantastic. All right. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Boy, that was a good one for a random pick. You'd think that was planned. Wait, unshare so I can see the next victim here. So, any volunteers on what's on your workbench? I know that's a tough act to follow what we just saw, but
Hey Tom, this is Phil. I'll show you. This is not on a workbench. It came off the workbench, and I have some pictures on the workbench, but I've already set up to share this. So I'll show this is a new water tank here. And the pictures aren't great because the background's not great because it's reflecting off a mirror back into the rest of the layout. But this was a Banta kit of a West Side that had a wood floor, and I redid it with 3D printed piers. And I haven't finished the landscape on the bottom yet, but kind of for a little town here. I'm trying to get some coloring based on some photos I found from some tanks in the area. It's a wrapper. It's a wrapper, and the wrappers actually terminates under the ladder. It actually came out pretty well when it got done. I like the way he did the straps and kind of the mechanism, etc. It came out pretty well. So I think, yeah, that's kind of about it.
That's a Banta kit.
Yeah, it's a Banta kit of a West Side tank. Actually, I like the you know, if you look at this, I got a picture back. If you go back one, let me see it there. Comes with a plexiglass disc that's laser cut that fits down in here and matches the laser cut diameter of the forms that you put the wrapper on. And what I did was I drilled a hole in that and then ACC'd in the rope on the back side of this little mechanism here. If you you can kind of see it there. You can see the rope there on the back side that would go down to the stomper you pull. And it was a nice kit. I think I bought it at one of the narrow gauge conventions from him when he was there. So that kind of just came off the workbench. And you can see I've got to finish I got to finish putting some more dirt around the piers. It was just glued in yesterday. So cool.
You're muted, Tom.
Any volunteers on, or shall I just pick? Chris Course, I know you're always busy with things.
Yeah, actually, I really do have something sitting right here on my workbench. I'm trying to finish up in the gold dust background flats, the pack 2, and got this little house. It's the John Reed house. Trivia question: does anybody know who John Reed was?
No.
It's the real name of the Long John or of the Lone Ranger.
Oh.
So that took a little bit of research, but so there were some issues with it when I did it the first time. So I did another one and just waiting for some windows and stuff to dry so that I can finish up the second pilot model to it. So hopefully that'll be done shortly. It looks like everything so far for this current run of these series of pilot models for pack 2 is going well. So hopefully I can get stuff out on this weekend.
And how did you color that particular front? Was it a stain or a paint, or what did you do?
Typically what I'll do is I'll start out with some hunter line, either the driftwood or the blue gray.
Yeah.
I'll put a layer of that on, and basically that kind of ages the wood a little bit, and then I'll put on I've got a bunch of different hunter lines that I use. My favorite is rust, which I don't think this is it. I don't think I used rust on this one, but then I'll put a couple washes on there, and that just kind of darkens it up and brings out the weathering that we're looking for in it. So,
and if memory serves me correct, there's several in that series. Yeah.
Yes, there's a total of 12 buildings.
Wow. Okay.
So there's 3 packs, because I was going to put the whole thing out all at once. And my wife was like, whoa, 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 whoa. People aren't going to buy 12 houses, especially for background flats. So
tell everybody the scales.
It's HO, of course. But
and when do you think they'll be released?
I'm hoping to cut them this weekend. I told somebody earlier in the week that I thought it was going to be ready this weekend. It'll be most likely next weekend.
So soon, anyway.
Yeah. So it's coming along. It's just I've just been slowed in the workshop. I know I had like a huge break between between the timonium and my work schedule that kind of blocked me out of getting stuff done down here, but trying to get back on track.
Put a plug for your company where the website is. Go ahead, give them a website.
Sure, it's Conowingo Models, and I'll put that in the chat. And it's
Great.
conowingomodels.com.
Okay.
And pack 1 is now available. This is what I'm working on right now is getting pack 2 finished up and ready. Pack 3, there was one building, it just wasn't working out, so it's going to have to be replaced, but I think I've got a quick replacement for it. So hopefully pack 3 will be not too far behind pack 2.
Well, thank you. And we'll hear from Chris a little later on the My Build program.
All right. Thanks, Tom.
I see Dave Menard has returned to the show. It's been a while since I've seen that name, or maybe I'm remiss. How's it going, Mr. Menard?
Good, good. Yeah, I haven't been around for about a month. Just hasn't worked out on Wednesday evenings to come on and to be on the show, but I'm here tonight finally.
What are you up to these days?
Oh, just finished. I do T-track, N-track layouts, and I just finished a spate of 5 train shows in 6 weeks, which anywhere from Thunder Bay, Ontario to Milwaukee, and a few in between. So yeah, I've been busy hitting the road. I do have one thing I've been working on as a quad T-track module. So it's 4 single modules, but it's the same length as 4 single modules. It's going to be a sort of Colorado mining thing, as I've fallen in love with Colorado mining. And I built this little Quartz Hill mine. It's a laser cut kit, and the manufacturer escapes me right now. But you have to cut that corrugated stuff is all cut by hand from a sheet, which was a real pain in the fanny, but I think it turned out okay. The siding is paper and stained with a various number of things. Does have a light inside, so I did lit it up. But that's gonna be the mine on the module. The module's still very much under construction, way in the back room. I'm not gonna carry that up here. But that's kind of what I've been working on as far as modeling goes.
Do you do N-track and T-track, or just T-track?
Mostly T-track now. Most of the people around me here have made the switch. I have done a couple N-track though in the last and the 2 shows I did. 2 of the shows I actually did both. So, but
I've got
been busy.
I've got 2 N-track modules in my garage, actually. So
How long has it been?
oh man, I started N-track in 1967.
Oh wow,
It
pioneer.
only came over here in 1965.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I switched to ON30 in 2005, but I still play around with the Midwest N-track group. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, but so I've had a busy fall already. Kind of looking forward to having a few weeks off here and actually get back into working on that module. I did take it to a show in Thunder Bay with and it's an incomplete thing just to make sure everything worked, and it ran fine.
You're up there in Minneapolis or some?
I'm in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, which is about 80 miles east of Minneapolis.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Menard? Well, thanks for being showing us what you're up to, what's on your workbench.
Yeah, no problem.
Welcome back to the show.
Yeah.
And we'll pick somebody else new here that maybe I don't recognize at all. How about or haven't spoken to in a while? How about Ken Myers? Because he has this little smile on his face.
Oh my God. I most recent thing I've done is I did a conversion to Blue Nami with a Athearn RS3 diesel. I don't know if this will work, but I might be able to show you how I tested it. It's a very short video. Let's see if I can get it up. I was not expecting this, so okay, share. Let's see if I can get it or not. Maybe. I don't know.
Are you sharing when you share? Did you share the upper left one, or did you share where? But why don't you do this? Do me a favor.
Sure.
Share your hit the share button,
Okay.
the green share button at the bottom, and then
Yes.
there are a whole bunch of video windows. Click on the upper left one. The upper left. Upper left.
Upper left is you.
Yeah, click on me.
Okay.
There we go. Now we're seeing your screen. We're seeing what you see right now.
Okay.
So that video, if you click and make the video full screen, we'll see it full screen.
All righty. Let's see.
It's to the, yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
What I've got here is it's for dead rail. And this was just a test I was doing. So the battery pack is hooked to the track. It's not in the trailing boxcar yet. This was just testing the chassis after I swapped the Tsunami 2 out for the Blue Nami 21-pin decoder. Just a little test. It doesn't last very long. But that's what I used to do the test. And I had other videos as I was going along, built the battery car for it. The diesels, I use a trailing battery car for, but the steam locomotive that I have Loco-Fi in, everything's in the tender. That has Blue Nami in it. And my other 3 dead rails have Loco-Fi, which has been on here before. So
And when did you make the switch to dead rail?
I've been dead rail since I came back to doing model trains 2022. I did a presentation on here, you probably forgot, with Loco-Fi. I did a presentation on how to use the Loco-Fi app. So, but I just recently started using Blue Nami. So I use them both. I like them both. Can't pick one over the other, but dead rail just works for me. Works really good for me.
Maybe we could have you in a segment on dead rail because we've got a couple really big fans of that. Steve Sherrill, for example. We're going to start calling him the father of dead rail.
Yeah, I had talked to Steve quite a bit before I was on. I think it was about a year and a half ago I did that on your program here. And
Okay.
so it just works out well for me to do dead rail. I was the guy that did model airplanes, RC model airplanes.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was one of the early adopters and promoters for electric flight with radio control airplanes. So that's kind of where I came from with using batteries with motors.
Yeah. I think eventually everybody will be dead rail, but still a few of us holdouts with
Yeah.
DCC.
Well, it makes it real easy. Plus that Blue Nami app, one of the things nice about it is you don't need to know what a CV is, how to set it, or do anything. You just push a button and say, "Do this for me," and it does. It's so cool. Soundtracks really has a great deal there, and so does Loco-Fi actually.
We
Just
had
what you want.
we had George on from Soundtrack, and we had what's his name, Piesh from Loco-Fi,
Right.
and I've seen the Blue Nami software that you run off your iPhone, for example. It is slick.
It is so slick. And
Yeah.
you don't, if you use Blue Nami, but you don't want it, it's not for dead rail. It's just for setting up your
Yeah, encoder.
DCC.
Yeah.
You can just use the Blue Nami decoder and just do the setup with your Blue Nami. And if you want to use your Digitrax or whatever throttle, once it's set up, you don't have to have a programming track or anything. You just set it all up, and then you can just run it with whatever throttle you want, whether you want to use the one on the phone or something you're more comfortable with. It's just really a slick operating system.
Once I get my layout continuous running, that's my little pack. I'm not going to touch locomotives till I do that. I'm going to try one of the Blue Nami encoders. I'm going to try and upgrade, see how that works.
Oh,
I
I'll
just-
guarantee you're going to like it because you're not going to have to know what CV29 does and what the subsections on CV29 does and all that stuff. You
Or
just go,
picking the right sound, and it's
yeah,
it's so mysterious now.
yeah, it's very, very, very simple. An old guy like me can do it. Anybody can do it.
Any
Can
questions?
I ask Ken a question?
Yes.
Ken, that little 2x2 layout, is that just a test track or are you building a micro layout?
No, that's just my test track.
Okay.
That's all I did. I just used it for a test track. I had bought some pure DC locomotives that I've converted using Locify or soundtracks, and I run them on there to test them because I buy them at train shows or something. I want to just make sure they're running
Uh-huh.
before I tear it all apart and put the stuff in it. So I got back into it with a train set, and so I had that loop of track that came with a Walters fast freight train set. So that's
Uh-huh.
my test track. And so when I did that conversion of the RS3, the Athearn RS3, I put it on there and I used the DC transformer just to see if the Tsunami 2 was working. And yes, it was. And then I changed it over to my battery pack. I just hooked my battery pack to the track after I switched to the Blue Nami because that's all I needed to control the train.
Mm-hmm.
So it worked out really good. It was just something I did for testing purposes. I have that whole thing up on my website, the conversion I did on that one. That it was a lot, it was very, very easy. All I had to do was switch out the Tsunami 2 21 pin for the Blue Nami 21 pin. That was it. So that conversion was very simple. It already had the speakers, the lighting, everything all in it. It's just switch. And then I sold the Tsunami 2 to a friend of mine. So it cost me a little more than just running a DCC, but not much.
All
So
right, thanks.
you're very welcome.
Oh, we have time for a couple more if I can. Batting 100 now, or 1,000. How about Kirk Butcher?
Yeah, I just want to say I just got done tearing my layout down. My house is sold, so I'm going to be moving it. But I was able to salvage probably about 75% of it, and I ended up salvaging most of the turnouts and all the switch machines and uh, quite a bit of it actually, but. It's a little bit of an undertaking because I had three guys over here helping me. Fred Cosgrove was one of them, and right now I've got it in a storage unit. They're stacked up against the wall in the storage unit. So I guess the key to doing something like this is try to make it as lightweight as possible. And one of the things I did with the layout was I used metal 2x4s, and I also used half-inch. Well, the sections with 3/4 inch plywood I ended up throwing out because it was just too heavy. But that's what I've been doing.
When are you moving into your new home?
Currently, I don't have a new home yet.
Okay.
Well, I have a cottage in northern Michigan, and I'm going to be staying there until I can find a home, a permanent residence. But I wasn't in a big hurry to find a home, but I am going to have to find a home now because I'm going to be paying storage on a lot of stuff.
I fully understand. 3 years ago, I downsized and And then we rented 3 storage units. And I saved a couple sections of the layout, but I didn't wind up using them in the new layout, but I saved all the buildings. And one section of the old layout's in the garage here, but I'm probably going to dismantle it. But we had a year hiatus in an apartment before we moved into another home, so I know your drill. So
Kind of rough because you know, I have to take my my workbench down as well and all my tools and pack them up. And I don't know when I won't have space at my cottage to do much. So it's going to be a while.
yeah, it was a while for me too, but you'll be back at it before you know it. Any volunteers for what's on your workbench, or shall I randomly pick another?
So Tom,
I'll go ahead and show you, just because Chris already went. So I pulled this up because I just finished it. I got this up at the Mideastern Region Convention a few weekends ago, and this is what Chris was giving a clinic on, a hands-on clinic, which I couldn't go to because it conflicted with something. But I went ahead and brought it home, and I built it pretty much the way it is, except I didn't want an ice cream shop. I went ahead and put it on a little foam diorama base, and had a lot of 3D printed details that I could add to it. But I went ahead and built it as a hot dog stand. And so it's basically a boxcar that's along a rail trail where they tore up the rails and they now have a hiking path. And so you need hot dogs if you're going to go hiking. And it was a fun little kit to build. The only thing that I differed really from was making the signs and adding some details. So that just came off my workbench this morning.
Looks great. I like the name Rail Dogs. That's in HO, I think. Yeah.
My son said I should actually start a business named that.
Rail Dogs.
Yeah.
Mine would have to be Devil Dogs. All right. We got any more volunteers? Let's do one more, then we'll go to Dennis Brennan for his presentation. Who can I pick on? Let's see. So many people and so little time. How about Bill Stimson? He always has something up his sleeve.
There you go. That's what's on my workbench. It's a downtown deco storefront that's not quite finished. I still have to work on this unit over here.
Maybe we could highlight him, Phil, and get it a little larger.
Can I borrow your card? Because I want to get one screen.
Wrong one.
Seriously? Yeah. You're wearing my sweatshirt again. Stop wearing my sweatshirts.
There you go.
Text them out. You just
Somebody gonna mute themselves? Yeah, there we go. Okay. Pull it back a little.
Well, how well that is
Go
showing
back.
up.
You're too close. Go back a little. Yeah, there you go. This
Not
is
a great camera.
Yeah,
So.
no, you know what? Do you have a piece of paper laying around? Put a piece of paper right behind it. The problem is it's focusing on you, not on the building. And so the building's halfway to the camera. So if you put something flat behind it when you show something like that, then the camera should focus more on the building. Anything flat, it can be practically anything.
Not so close.
Yeah, just pull it back just a little bit. There you go. Now it should be more in focus. Yeah.
That's an N scale, obviously.
It is an N scale, yes. And like all of his stuff, the detail is phenomenal. I mean, even the back is.
Pull back a little. Keep going back a little. Back. Let's see if it'll come into focus. I think it's you, Bill. You're scaring the camera. That's what it
Yeah,
is.
probably.
Yeah.
I mean, the detail he puts in these things is amazing.
We need to get him on the show. He's been a long time producer of NHO O-scale plaster.
Yeah, I don't think there's a scale he misses.
And
He
have
even
some
does 35, 135th.
I see Skylar has joined the show. Welcome to the show,
Indeed.
Skylar.
Happy to be here.
Boy, it's been 2 days since I've seen you.
Yeah, right.
Well, welcome to the show. Skylar is president of O-Scale Central. And
President of the Detroit Model Railroad Club, membership director of the Nickel Plate Historical Technical Society. There's 3 other things at least. I deal with a private layout. And in my spare time, I set alarms and then turn them off in the morning. So coming up with my own social resume.
We will be featuring Skylar and O-Scale some point in the future. Phil's taking that charge. And yeah, well, we look forward to contributing to the show.
Yeah, if you got a minute, I've queued up the last thing that I worked on. Wasn't exactly on my workbench, but if we got a minute, I can share it.
We sure do. Share your screen. Well, you know the drill.
Yep. All right. These are 2 pictures put together. That's why they don't look right in the middle. This was taken in 2015. Keep your eyes focused on this area. Well, in 2018, I'd say, we grew a bit. We added another division onto the railroad. So this High Line was then added. This is themed to look like, but not exactly replicate, the Algoma Central trestle across the Montreal River Dam. So this was temporary trackage for 7 years. And then this past year, I started working on it. Well, past few years, actually. So this is the face of the dam. And then over here in the corner, you see one support that was built. That's a combination of 3D printing and 20 hours of work to make that. I got in before the resin stuff really took off. So here's all of them up. Combined, probably 400 hours at that point. Every other joint's glued. And the prototype bridge, every support is 4-sided rather than just 2, which complicated everything. To do a little test, I added 10-pound weights. So both these are 10 pounds. And this is before they were tied together. So in O-scale, we can hold a little bit more. But I'm a mechanical engineer by trade, so I love the physics of it. This was about a month ago. I started building the deck, a combination of 1/4-inch plywood and then stainless steel pieces that I acquire from work because there's ample scrap as well as a Mitsubishi laser that likes to cut things. And then after that, deck and rail were added, 3/16 basswood. No, not basswood. No, basswood. And then obviously the spread here is for an op session because every layout is judged by what's available during the op session for food. So this is a project that I've been working on for 6 years from the beginning, a lot of research, and happy to be done, and with trains running across it. That was kind of a crash course. I'd like to do a larger presentation in detail with, pictures of how it was done. But yeah, if anybody's got any quick questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
That would be a great way to kick off your program.
Yep, I agree.
And
yeah, I could fill up 15, 20 minutes on that.
That's amazing. And that layout is your layout or a club layout?
That belongs to a long short story. I'll get into that at some point. the member who owns that, he belongs to the club. He was the president when they moved in during the 70s. And that was an old movie theater they moved into. So this is his private layout. And once I'm added in his will, so we're not blood related, but him and his wife didn't have any kids. So I'm included in the will to assume the house. So in a way, it's my layout. It's his design, but yeah.
And so in total serendipity, if you remember Dick Tomlinson, his layout is going to be tonight's Caboose, so that you'll actually see the bridge as part of the layout for tonight's Caboose.
Oh, fantastic. Thanks, Phil.
Well, okay. Thank you, Skylar. And we look forward to your future contributions to New Tracks Live. And he'll be handling the O scale segment. Well, that actually went magnificent. Boy, everybody was just, you'd think our planned segments don't go that smooth. So that was really quite remarkable. And thank you for everybody that was spotted and came through on tonight's What's on Your Workbench. We'll have to do that again. It worked very well. Next up, we have our sponsor is going to give a presentation, Dennis Brennan. He's going to do part 2 of Tom French's layout. About exactly 4 weeks ago, he did part 1. Before we have Dennis on, we're going to run Millhouse Studio ad, who's sponsoring his segment, and he's the sponsor of the show.
Millhouse River Studio builds model train working accessories that are made to last generations. Millhouse River products are built out of aluminum and have scale brass details that even the most demanding scale modeler will appreciate. Since our industry entry in 2009 with the introduction of our flagship turntable, Millhouse River has continued to add new, innovative products, like our scale transfer table, rotary coal dumper, flood coaling tower and, most recently, a working conveyor that transports coal from the dumper to the loader. All of Millhouse River Studio's stunningly realistic products are currently available in O scale. We are adding new scales on some products, including the upcoming release of an HO scale turntable featuring our aluminum construction and stunning brass details that is big enough to handle a big boy locomotive. When it comes to your layout, don't settle for less, get Millhouse River Studio.
And now I'd like to introduce Dennis Brennan, returning to the show. Welcome, Dennis.
Hi, guys. How are you today?
Good. How are you doing?
Oh, good. Been busy around here, so we can get right to it.
Yep.
You may remember the layout that I did 4 weeks ago. We did a little thing, and that was Tom French, and what was featured was the industrial side of the layout. So let's go to the first slide.
Yeah, Phil's got that. Or
at any rate, while that's happening, I'll just babble on here. What the second part is about is the left lobe of his layout. Here we go. All right, so let's go to the first image, please. Okay, this is the layout, and you'll remember the right lobe there where it says Wolf Valley Lines. That's what we did the last time. Very industrial. And now we moved over to the left side, and as you can see, that's a lot greener. And we'll see the rest of it. Next slide. All right, so what I actually did here is I did not create those mountains. I did not create the backdrop. That was already there. I added a little more color to the mountains because I thought they were a little bit, well, they were a little bit too light. And I wanted to add a little more color, but we compromised because after all, That's what Tom really likes, and so that's what we did. Nothing wrong with it, just different preferences. So what I did here is you can see there was no scenery, really, not much scenery at all around this whole bridge. And the bridge he had done was custom made for this entire scene. And so I did all the scenicking around it. Next slide. All right, so here is a little bit to the right of what you saw. Again, I wanted to lead the viewer into the layout. So you notice we have a street that starts at the edge of the layout, crosses the railroad tracks. Now on the left of that street, it goes into, well, there's a little motel to the very right across the tracks. It's one of those little Woodland Scenics deals with about 4 little buildings, like just a tiny, tiny place. And then under the bridge, we go into a farm scene. Next slide. Okay, now you can see how this road now leads into and under the bridge, and you'll see a truck back there. That's part of the farm scene. And the right is that little motel, and there's like 3 or 4 other buildings there. All right, next slide. This is the farm scene. Now, Tom, what he does is he's really good at the hardscape. That's what he calls it. And I'm good at the landscape. Now, the hardscape in Tom's world, Tom is a builder, and he loves to place. He really gets off on placing his structures into according to the lay of the land. And he always likes to have different levels for his structures. And so he placed all of these buildings that was already here when I started working on it, but it didn't have quite the pizzazz and the panache that Tom wanted. Tom's only been doing it for 5 years, and he did a good job for what he did. But in his head, he was seeing the kind of stuff that I'm doing. And that's, it's just, it's just, I've been doing this for a long time. And so it's a lot easier for me to visualize things and to put them together. So we took all the buildings off, completely redid the whole scene from all the ground and all the trees and all that, and the whole pasture. Next slide. All right, here's the overview. Tom's house is up on a little bit of a hill, and then you go down into the pasture. And again, fortunately for me, Tom had done this stuff on like a 1/2-inch pink foam, and he didn't put it down permanently. He just worked on the pieces off the layout and then set them in place. So it was a lot easier for me to work on them because we just took them out, stripped them, and then redid them. And then so I redid everything that you see in there. The little cabin on the left and the trees and all of the pasture. The fence was there, but we reestablished it. We took it all down and then started all over basically. And the little stream he had in place, he had Woodland Scenics water effects, but they got really dull. One of those Woodland Scenic products, I'm not sure exactly which one it was, but it was very dull. It couldn't be cleaned. And so I went over it with a gloss acrylic that painters, artists use. and that really pumped it up. And then the white there was mixed a little bit of color in with it, like around the rocks and things. And then there's also a little pond in the pasture where the cows are, and that was done the same way. Next slide. Okay, now here is the city, his little city. It's supposed to represent small town America. Tom grew up around Kansas City, and all of these buildings are woodland scenics. Originally he had less buildings there. We added several more, and he had one long block, but I separated. Once we added buildings, I put a little separation in there, which is I believe this is the corner building, and there's a little street that goes in here, and it dead ends at the track level. Now, the thing about the city, everything was on the same track level. I raised it up. I wanted to raise it a little bit higher so it really looked like the trains were going through a deep cut. But we settled on this. Tom didn't want to go for the extra height. So we went with, I think this is like 1.5 inches. And that also gave me a reason to ramp up to it from the farm scene. This is to the right as you're walking through the layout. That's to the right of that farm scene. Next slide. See, now you can see the farm scene. There's the little motel back there. This is to the right of that road that crossed the tracks. And you can see I ramped it up to join the main road. So these buildings here, again, Woodland Scenics pre-made buildings, were added and landscaped in. We made the road just a little bit darker than I had it originally. But the city part, that road was even darker still because Tom wanted it to look more kept up. Next slide. Okay, now this is at the back of his layout in the corner. There's a sweeping corner here. He coved it, and there wasn't really anything in there. And it just really didn't. It needed something. So Tom had some leftover castings from his mountain, and I took them and I used them to make a little like a ridge here. And then I made a little bit of a forest. The key about doing a forest scene is to have a variety of trees and different vegetation. That really works well. And if you get some of these JTT scenery products, they make these smaller trees. They make these things right here, the dead trees, and they make all these little tiny trees as well as full-size trees. But the little tiny stuff really adds a lot to it because that's what usually you'll find on the edge of a forest, and they call it forest edge or something similar to that. Next slide. Okay, here's another little scene. This is on the other side of the layout, which is just beyond where the industrial area was that I did. This is where the layout curves around and goes towards the back wall. And I used, in this case, this is tree bark. I collected some tree bark and I just incorporated it into the scenery. And the scenery that I use here this is some of the JTT stuff here, all of these little bushes and things. But all this other stuff here, what I I've been doing lately is I rip up scenic material like lichen. I tear it up into little tiny bits, as small as I can, and then I add some woodland scenics weeds in different colors, and I also add some various some ground cover like dark pieces of earth, uh, natural earth to it. And just make a mixture, and it goes a long way, and you can see how cool that looks. And you don't have to do, a lot of, used to do scenery layer by layer, but when you have to do something like this, if you rip it up and put it in one container and mix up a whole bunch of things together and then just start sprinkling it on, it works great. Next slide. Okay, here again is another look. There's the embankment, and then you can see how there's overgrowth coming down and all the overgrowth here. And again, I did the same thing with the scenery, and this really shows off those forest edge kind of trees that help blend everything together. Next slide. Okay, this is going into a corner. You can see there's a cove here. This was already painted on there and whatnot. Again, there wasn't really anything back here. We wasn't sure what to do with it. So I added real rocks. This is, there's a siding, a railroad siding not far from me. And there's this embankment, and these rocks are there and they just crumble, and I just pick them up. And I incorporated them with celluclay. I've used celluclay extensively on this layout to build up and blend in the rocks so that it's not just a rock sitting there, but it actually has earth and stuff around it. Again, my scenery. And then I kind of staggered it too, so that it looks like the track is going into a cut, which it is. And then I added this building here. There was nothing here. And then I put the building up on a retaining wall because, again, I built this area up between the tracks, so nothing is really flat. Next slide. And that's it. Any questions? I'm glad to answer.
Okay, this is Phil. Before we go any farther, you have to explain, since you don't have a complete picture of it, what is the backdrop on the wall there?
Okay, those are Kansas City landmarks that Tom had an artist come in and paint. This building here is the Livestock Exchange Building in Kansas City, hence, and the livestock corral that was there. And this is a fountain. The Kansas City is filled with fountains, and I'm not sure which specific one this is. And then there's other buildings that they're all landmarks. And that was his. In fact, on the back wall, if we went back to the very first picture, if you can go back to the very first one. Okay, yeah, this one. See that back there? He took up this whole area with a custom built Union Station that is really kind of phenomenal. And it pretty much duplicates Kansas City's Union Station. It had to be scaled down a little bit, of course. And that's a landmark. This here is a Kansas City landmark. It's a rider on a horse overlooking the city on a bluff. And then this is a World War I memorial. And so he's incorporated that, those kind of things into his layout, backdrop.
Cool.
Are you finished with that project, Dennis? I know they're never finished, but
Well, is it ever finished? I'm still, he has two levels. That's the top level. There is a level underneath, and I took a few shots of that, but I'm not, we can talk about that at some other time. I'm working on that lower level now. That's a tough one because it's too low.
yeah.
It's you have to kneel down to work on it. And I suggest to anybody who is ever contemplating doing two levels, don't do a level where you have to kneel down to work on it and even see it. I mean, people don't come in and kneel down and look at things like that.
Yeah.
So while it may seem like a good idea, don't do it. Build your layout up higher, if anything else. But that's not fun. And in December, I have to go to Long Island and work on another layout. A gentleman I've worked on his layout before, and he's got the same thing, which I'll be doing once again. Not fun for my old knees, but
Take plenty of photos.
Oh, I will. I will. Any other questions?
I think that farm scene was outstanding. That was a nice job.
Well, the one comment I make out on that is that it also shows those woodland scenic buildings with a little weathering and in a scene, they look pretty good.
Oh, yeah. That's one other thing. Thanks for bringing that up. He had the buildings, as you know, or maybe you don't know, all those buildings have their details attached to them. And they attach them to the side walls as well as the front. So you can't put the buildings together unless you remove them. And so he had basically taken up that same space, but had the buildings pretty well spread apart. So my first thing I did is said, let's get rid of these details on the sides of the buildings. Unless you want to have alleys, there's no reason for it. So buildings in a small town like that are usually right next to each other. If anything, they might have a small alley here or there, but so we got rid of them. And I think it looks a lot better that way.
Yeah, those are the old design preservation models that Woodland Scenics picked up.
Yeah.
And those used in combination with the plaster cast deco. They're really attractive.
Yeah, they would work really well together. And you can see here too, it tried to vary the heights of the buildings, and so that it didn't look all the same as they're all. And Woodland Scenics really actually does a nice job in coloring them. I really didn't do anything to the buildings at all. I did other than remove the details that were totally unnecessary. I also added the sidewalk. It's something that is laser cut that that I have cut for me. And there's two blocks of sidewalk in front of each building. So it's a double sidewalk wide so that the details on the building don't really take up the room. Because there's like little stools and things, benches, and sometimes there's even an outdoor table and chairs. And if you only use one sidewalk thickness, it doesn't work well. So anyway, and all of the details on the sidewalk, Tom put in the trees. We decided about where the trees and lights should go and how many, but Tom did all that work and he did all of the detailing with the cars and the traffic cops and people. He likes to do that.
And all the buildings seem to have interior detail and lighting.
Yeah, and he likes that. He loves to see things lit up. So those buildings are perfect for him. And if they don't light up, he will light them up. And the retaining wall, I made that out of foam core and basswood. The uh, the wall is actually foam core, and the cap on it is basswood. And I still need to weather that, but it's all been sprayed with Krylon camo khaki.
And you know, it's important to remember that those buildings are also available. Most of them are all of these probably in HO and N.
Yes.
You know, so it's not just an O thing with the Woodland Scenics, you know, and if you're building a large layout, it's a way to get a lot of acceleration on structures. They're not unique, but they do look fine.
Yeah, oh, they look great. Now, if you had to make every one of those structures, it would have been taken hours and hours and hours. Even though the buildings are not necessarily cheap, though. 150, $175, something like that. But actually, it's not a bad deal. I think they might even be more expensive. Some of them might be more expensive, and it's not bad if you really don't want to build anything. And it does give you all the details. So not a bad thing. But if you want your layout not to look like everybody else's,
Yeah.
you
And they're
should.
attractive buildings, yeah.
Yeah, they are.
Well, great presentation, Dennis, and nice work.
Thank you, sir.
Living the dream as a professional model railroader, among other things.
No, I'm having fun. The tricky part is I I have my own modeling sensibilities, and I have to temper that with, you know, with people because it's not my layout, right? So we I have to temper some of the stuff that I'm doing, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. It's just that there are some things that I would do a little bit differently, but hey, everybody has their own taste. Um, but I think I'm real proud of what we've done over there.
Some really nice scenes in there. And at some point, you're going to have to turn yourself loose with your camera as a professional photographer and really take something, some of those street scenes could use some nice close-ups and some
Oh
nice,
yeah,
you could
yeah.
spend a day with that.
Absolutely. There's a lot of shots that I've already got going on in my head, and I'm definitely going to do a professional shoot, probably a full day, at
That would
least.
be that would be great, and an explanation of how you set the shots up. Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll take some shots of the setups as well, so
Yeah,
you
that
can
would be
see it.
great. Well, thank you. I know you've got a pack for a trip tomorrow.
Yep. Well, I'm packed, but I need to. I've been going at it all day. My SUV is filled. Got a photo shoot in St. Louis, so it's a layout, and it should be fun. But I think it's a cross between toy train and high rail. I don't think it hits either one of them, but we'll see. We'll
Well, if
see.
you can share some of those photos, let us know on a presentation
I may not be able to because
for a magazine.
yeah, if it's going to get published, which I think it's going to be published in CTT, can't release those photos. They can't be published anywhere else. Um, but if I could take more than one shot of something, and then I
I
could
hear
probably,
I hear nothing.
yeah.
I
So
see nothing. Okay.
all
Well,
right, guys.
Thank you, Dennis. Appreciate you
Hey,
sponsoring. Dennis, incidentally, sponsors not only the show, but the magazine, the scholarship, and he donates his time to the show. So if we could give him a round of applause,
oh,
we should.
oh, thank you, guys.
Thank you, Dennis.
It's a lot of fun. Now I got to go, so I'm going to sign off here.
All right, thanks, Dennis.
Yep, bye.
Up next, we have Craig Veitch, all the way from Australia. Before we have Craig on, we're going to do the My Build video, and then we'll have a little interview of Craig, and then he has a scratch build he's going to share with us.
Don't miss the monthly New Tracks Modeling My Build event. My Build is where the modelers of New Tracks show what they have been building. See amazing modeling with some My Builds featuring specific topics for modeling. If you would like to have your models included in the My Build, please email your modeling photos to Chris Course at railrunner130@hotmail.com. If you are a first-time My Build participant, please include a photo of yourself.
Good highlight, Chris. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Oh, thanks, Tom. Let's see here tonight. Let's see. The next My Build is November 26th. Anything goes. Submission deadline is November 23rd. And then in December we have a challenge, which is layouts. That'll be the December 17th episode, and the deadline for that is December 14th. So please, if you've never contributed before, it's easy. All you got to do is send me some photos, and you can either talk about it yourself or just make sure that you have something in writing saying what it is, and I can speak on your behalf if that's what you'd like, if you don't feel comfortable talking on the Zoom. So anyway, my email address is railrunner130@hotmail.com. So please send us your photos, and also, if you have not participated in the past, please include a photo of yourself. That way we can put that on your intro page. So there you go. The next My Build is November 26th. Anything goes. Please send me photos. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. For some of you that are new to the show this evening, the My Build is one of our most popular segments, and it gives our Zoomers and our YouTube participants, we have roughly 250, 300 YouTubers out there right now, the opportunity to be on the show simply by submitting their photos to Chris. He'll put together the PowerPoint. You need only to describe your photos for that quick 5 minutes that you're on the My Build program. And as you see, we have topics, and the November 26th is a free-for-all, so anything goes. Perfect opportunity to showcase your work on New Tracks Modeling Live. So next up, all the way from Australia. I don't even know how many thousands of miles away it is, but it's a lot. Welcome to the show, Craig. And
thank you.
The land down under, as it were.
Yes.
Is it only the Americans that refer to it as that, or do you guys?
I'm not sure. So,
so tell us, before we begin your PowerPoint, how long have you been a model railroader?
oh, probably since I was 3 or 4. Yeah, I started, I guess, my first memory is about 4. I had a hand-me-down clockwork tin plate models that Hornby, I think, made. Basically O gauge, at least the gauge, pretty crude all the way around. My brother was 7 years older, and he was tired of that kind of stuff, so he said, "Here, you have it," and it kept me amused. But also at 4, I was lucky enough to have my first footplate ride, because my grandfather's next door neighbour was the A-Link driver for a mail train between Brisbane and Gympie, where we lived. So I went to meet my grandfather. Was coming back from somewhere, and the driver said, "Come on up." So So that was not too bad. And then after that, I had a few more footplate rides over the years with him. But my first major influence, I think, was again my brother's involvement. The father of one of his mates had a magnificent layout under his house. He was also the organiser of the Brisbane Model Railway Show. This was in the 60s. It was American outline, and the first thing I couldn't believe was the level of detail. Also the weight compared to the crying hornby plastic stuff, and the running of them. Such fine runners, nice metal wheels versus the plastic wheels on hornby. So I putted along with HO until we got married and we went to the UK for an extended working honeymoon, 3 or 4 years. When I joined the Model Railway, I was invited to join the Model Railway Club and started in 2mm fine scale, which I did for about 20 years. Then my sons got interested in trains, so we suddenly were back at HO, and the first proper Australian outline locomotives came. Things that looked like what they should look like, but with dual flywheels, all-wheel pickup, proper locomotives in the mid-90s. So I just sort of fell into HO, standard gauge, New South Wales railways, because that's what was being built at the time. Now Queensland Railways they can get ready to run Queensland Railways, which is 3-foot 6-inch gauge, but I'm not staying in HO. I'm moving on to O gauge, or O scale, I should say. So there's a long answer to your question, Tom. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. And we're going to see a scratch build this evening. What do you enjoy most about the railroading you do now? Is it the scratch building, the layout building, the running of the trains? Is there any one area you prefer over the other?
It's evolved, I think. I've scratch built, particularly in 2mm fine scale. Everything's scratch built. This one evolved from, I want to do something back in modelling. I finally had the time and space became available. So, and I had all the stuff that I'd packed up and brought down from Sydney 12 years ago. And the idea was that I'd have a small layout where it'd sort of be prototypical. But as time's gone on, I've become more and more enthused with scratch building. And in the last 18 months, I've spent more time scratch building, including for my neighbour's layout. So yeah, I appreciate that. I know these days I think I'm more a modeler with a railway than I am a railway modeler. And part of that comes from I don't know a lot about New South Wales railways. An awful lot of them have been abandoned. We've got one, a 234-kilometre branch line that's at its closest points about 30 kilometres from us, that has been closed since the mid-1980s, but not yet declared closed, and so they haven't lifted the track and everything's just rotting away, and that's typical of railways in New South Wales. But there's some lovely buildings and stuff, and wonderful bridges, even on this 234 k's of branch line. So,
tell us a little about the availability of your modeling in HO scale right now. And you say there's Australian prototypes. Are they coming from China like everything else, or are you getting stuff from Germany, or how's this working? Where's the source of the locomotives, for example?
Yeah, they're Chinese made, but they're made by Australian companies. The largest producer started probably 15 years ago. There were smaller ones before that, like the first ones I picked up in 1995. They made one locomotive, saw how demand was, then they made another locomotive and another locomotive. The guys who came in about a decade later went in with this idea, we're going to provide a lot for the market immediately. So they started on rolling stock, building kits, locomotives, and every year they extend that range to the point where they're rerunning things. Since the 2000s, Australian railways have gone from being state-owned, well, really the 1990s, from state-owned to privately owned. And so the liveries change almost weekly in some places. So people will just collect locomotives, the one class of locomotive, but of every livery possible. I'm not a bit of a traditionalist. So I like New South Wales state railways livery, so I've gone back to 1980 as my modelling time.
Now, it seems to me that the hobby is alive and well in Australia. It's still very popular. We know, for example, in Great Britain and Germany, it's still very strong. And there's always this debate in the US whether we're hobby shrinking or growing. Depends who you talk to, but it's safe to say the hobby's doing very well down there in Australia. Is that correct?
Yes. In fact, one of the biggest modelling or railway model exhibitions was on about 2 or 3 weeks ago in Sydney, called the Great Model Train Show or whatever. And that often has international guests to come and run workshops, etc. Sometime in the 80s, Malcolm Furlow came out. I was in Sydney at the time, and he ran a number of clinics on his landscaping techniques. I didn't attend this year, so I don't know who was their lead speaker. But they've had to extend they've had to find a bigger venue. Another of the very large ones always has been the Brisbane Hobby Show, which runs over 3 days and used to occupy the cattle pavilion at the exhibition grounds in Brisbane. They moved it to an airport hangar this year. And the NMRA, I think, is also a significant player in building and maintaining interest in model railways. There's also, finally, I think, one of the things that was always difficult until this last 10, 15 years was getting access to information. So there are many more books available, a lot more research being done by people who can write well and understand both the modeller's requirements and the historian's requirements. I think they're key. So I think it's good. But the issue, I think, the same as for around the world, is I think the hobby is dominated by people of an earlier generation. But some of the Australian-based Facebook pages, for example, there's an awful lot of young contributors, but they've got a different view, I think, of what they want from the hobby and how they're going to participate in the hobby. And DCC is a huge one there, but also then the computerization of everything else.
Yeah,
I remember
3D printing,
a mate of mine. Sorry?
3D printing, for example.
Yeah, yes. There's a guy, a young 15-year-old who's got his own business on. He's gone for a market. He's identified that people want these little articles, and he's building a business from it. And for him, I think it's more the challenge of making 3D give that item than, he wants to model them himself. So.
Well, that's great. I think it'd be wonderful if we could get them. We used to have a couple Australians on the show last year. One of them unfortunately passed away. But it'd be great if you could tell your friends about us, and we'd love to see their layouts, their work, get a little international flair to this.
Yes.
So.
Yep. Well, and start with my neighbour. He's an operations man.
Well, let's get that going.
So I'm sort of building the structures for him, and I'm learning more about operations. So.
Well, let's begin with your PowerPoint, your scratch build. Your scratch build is a corrugated metal goods shed. I think it's right behind you. Is that photo correct? Or no?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. I thought, oh, well, I might as well give it a little more time.
All right, it's all yours now.
Thank you very much. So if we can skip to the next slide, please, Phil. As I've sort of already outlined, I've moved from having a layout focused thing to building structures for the layout. But the layout is inspired by the track arrangements at the terminus and the junction of a short branch from the main line in central New South Wales. And the subject of this presentation is construction of two models of this goods shed, and I'll explain later why. The layout I mentioned is nominally set in 1980, just prior to significant change for the state-based railway system. The shed that I'm modelling was actually demolished in the 1970s. Next slide. I think I want to give a brief history of the line, because that especially influenced the design and the construction of structures along the line, including this goods shed. The branch opened in 1923, which is fairly late in branch building for New South Wales, and it closed in 1978. It was a short branch of 16 miles and had 3 intermediate stations along the line. But it's sort of well known because the Railways Commissioner opposed the building of the branch for years, because he said it just wouldn't generate the income even to pay for its operating costs. Anyway, he was forced by an Act of Parliament. So he sort of didn't give up entirely. So the line was built of old rail, used rail. There was no ballast, so it's called a pioneer line. He set 25-mile-per-hour speed limit with these wicked 5-chain curves that sort of went up and down as well, and a ruling grade of 1 in 25. He contracted for the lowest cost, smallest buildings in the railway's inventory to be built. And there was little or no other infrastructure along the line. For example, there's no line side fencing. The bridges were timber trestles, very lightweight, and any other under-track stuff was minimal. And already by 1928, infrastructure, whatever there was beginning to be removed. And that started with the turntable and the engine facilities at the terminus. Despite all of that, the tracks are still in place, and a heritage-based railway, or a heritage railway, is actually based at the terminus. And I think, ironically, they've been given a grant by the New South Wales government to upgrade the track work and the track alignment across an 8 kilometre length, which is between the terminus and the remains of the first of the intermediate stations. Next slide. This is the track arrangement when the branch opened in 1923, and this is really where I started with what I'm going to build on the layout. The blue box sort of approximates the area that inspired the junction station on the layout. And the key attraction for me was the use of single slips off the main line and into the yard, because I think they're great space savers on a model. So it gave me an opportunity to have less point work and a little more straight track work. And also, I like the general layout of the structures. They fitted my vision for how can I make the terminus a coherent scene, a picture almost, if you want. Next slide. And this is how it looks these days. Well, it's the way it's looked for the last 40 years, actually. The things to note are the branch line running parallel to the main lines, and it continued to run parallel with the main lines for about 1 kilometre or so before turning sharply to the left and heading towards the first of the intermediate stations. The yard crane is still in place. An interesting thing on, and again, the Railways Commissioner getting his own back, that yard crane and the one at the terminus are 2.5 ton cranes, and they were specially made because New South Wales Railway standard crane is a 5 ton capacity. And the shed was located just closer to the camera from the yard crane. Next slide. So having chosen the inspiration, I then started looking for photos of the prototype and found 3 in private collections held by the Heritage Railway. And I must mention, I've written to them and asked for permission to use the photos, and I've received, yes, you'll get written permission, but I haven't yet it in my hand. But I didn't want the whole photo. I just wanted those photos that had enough shed in them that I could glean some information. So this photo is taken from 1963. The 3 photos show the ends and the rail side wall, but I could find no photos of the roadside wall. And I guess railway photographers in the 50s, 60s, 70s weren't interested in the non-railway side of things, but also probably the cost of film and developing and all the other bits and pieces that run into photography. The other thing to note is that it's a through shed. As in the track that runs through the shed, which I think makes for an interesting model. And also in terms of layout planning, the through shed takes up less landscape, if you want, certainly space on the layout than a line side shed. And the shed itself is close to the front edge of the layout. So it was kind of good to do that. The other thing about through sheds in New South Wales is they tend to be larger and generally at major railway sites. To find one at a dinky little passing station is unusual. And the things that also attracted my attention were the roof skylights, the single pane windows. I thought were interesting. They appear to be frosted, and then there's a masonry base on the railside wall, which isn't mirrored on the roadside wall. You can see just behind the gentleman who I think is eating a sandwich, that there's no masonry on that back wall or around the side. And the shed was built with swing doors across the track, but they obviously have been removed even before 1963. Next slide. I want to just say a few words on the first version of the shed because it contributed significantly to the construction of the second one. And I didn't have access to any plans at that point, so I scaled the height, the length and the width from the prototype photos. And then I drew on photos of other sheds around New South Wales, not like this, just any good shed for the sort of what was on roadside walls. And just as a digression, my approach to scratch building structures is to produce convincing models appropriate to their setting, both the space and the scenery in which they're placed. They're not perfect replicas of the prototype, but so it's a kind of a balance. I want to be true to the prototype, but I want it to work for the scene that I'm trying to create. Next slide. So this is the way in which I scaled from the photos. This photo is particularly useful because it's got a decent angle of both the end wall and the side wall, and conveniently a passenger coach on the line immediately outside the wall, not so far away that there's a perspective issue. So calculating sort of the height of the shed wall was a relatively easy task of measuring the distance from the rail height to the top of the wall, which I took to be the fascia board, top of the fascia, and then measuring the distance between the top of the coach and the rail top, dividing B into A, and then multiplying it by the model that I have of that type of coach to end up with the wall height in millimetres. divided that by 3.5, and you end up with about 16 feet. And that sounded like a nice round figure for a railway. But I don't like using just one estimate. So another way of sort of getting a double check on this, what I call triangulation, is the masonry section, if you look at it, is at the same height as the loading deck inside the shed, and New South Wales goods platforms are set at between 3 foot 4 and 3'6". So taking it, if you want 3 foot 5, it's the same story. Divide A by X and then multiply it by in 3'6" for me. So that's, again, that calculation brought out about 16 feet. So I could be pretty comfortable that 16 feet was the wall height. And then the other way of doing it, of course, is just to repeat it on another photo. So next slide. And isn't it nice that the photographer in 1957, this guy was a prolific recorder of New South Wales railways, particularly locomotives, and wrote a number of very informative books over the years on particularly different classes of locomotive. But conveniently, he's taken a photo at the other end and the whole of the coach is in. So knowing that coach is about 50 feet long, allowing for perspective, the shed's probably in the region of 50 to say 54 feet. The length didn't quite so much worry me because I intended to build it long enough to fully house a standard bogie goods wagon, which in New South Wales is about 57 to 60 feet long. So I set the length of the shed at 60 feet. The width of the shed can be calculated just by observation, really. Looking at the width of the masonry section, the doorway, and there was one corrugated iron sheet between the inboard doorway edge and the centre line of the shed. So allowing for a little bit of estimation of the masonry being 1.5 bricks wide, which is about a foot. The doorway allowing for loading gauge and clearance is about 14, and corrugated iron sheets 2'6" to 3 feet. You end up with a 36-foot wide shed. So once the length, the width and the height were determined, the other features could be scaled out simply by proportion. So the windows, the skylights, doors, but also the windows don't even need to measure the depth because they're at the bottom of the top row of corrugated iron. So you can get some of that just coming through naturally. Next slide. So the first thing to do, having got my basic dimensions, was to make a card mock-up to assess the physical and the visual impact on the site. Did it look right to start with, and then was it too big for the site? Was it too imposing? Fortunately, it wasn't. But I was concerned, being so close to the edge of the layout, that it might be subject to damage, particularly by the clumsy clot building it. So I decided to build this one for strength. So it had a 60 thou styrene shell. Next slide. And then I used corrugated metal strip for the external cladding glued to the shell. The internal wall framing is styrene strip, but I have no photos of the inside of this shed. But on the farm, we have a number of timber sheds, and I looked at the way, and they were built in the mid 1950s. So the building principles were probably similar. Then I used frosted acetate for the windows and the skylights. The doors and trims are pre-stained scribed lumber, northeastern lumber. ran a thin coat of enamel across them. The internal deck and the masonry edge on this model are simply balsa. And my thinking at the time for the masonry thing was, well, it's on the far side, can't be seen by observers, so balsa will do. And I built it with a removable roof for reasons I don't recall. Next slide. So it looked okay, I think. It still does, actually. It's now moved 1 kilometre from our place to my neighbour's, and it's sitting on his layout, or will be soon. But it also counted towards the NMRA Master Builder Structures Award, although it shouldn't have even been evaluated. The new shed was being built to be evaluated. So we'll come back to that next week. But it's basic. So I really wanted more. I wanted particularly to have individual scale size corrugated metal sheets as external cladding, and I wanted some internal details that had some basis in reality, particularly trusses, the deck, the wall framing, etc. So let's now look at the construction of the second shed. Next slide. And what got me able to build the second shed was I obtained plans for sheds of this type. Although, as I mentioned earlier, the plans are for a longer shed at 81 feet. But I was greatly comforted by finding that my estimates of the height and weight were spot on. The shed's 36 feet wide and 26 feet high. So I shortened and adapted the plans to fit the same footprint, which was very convenient. So that's why the first shed is important. And then I used the prototype photos for the external details. Next slide. And here we see, that just jumped. Can we go back one? It didn't jump, did it? It was me. Sorry about that. Next slide. So there's fairly standard materials, all commercially available, corrugated wall strip. The first shed was built with stuff I could source from an Australian organisation. And when I went to get more of it, they said, yeah, sure, but you have to buy a 12-foot by 12-foot square, not scale, piece. And that's like about 400 lifetimes of corrugated sheets, and even in HO. So I then sourced Northeastern stuff for the corrugated metal, and their lumber, which is their lumber's just great. I'm not so keen about their metal. And before I started, I stained all the lumber with a dilute solution of India ink and IPA. Next slide. I began by making the roof trusses with the lumber. I try to use jigs whenever I can, because for me they're the only way to get consistent size and shape from multiple copies of a thing, and particularly for roofs, because that's the bit that we tend to look or see on most models. So next slide. This is all pretty conventional stuff. The door and window openings were marked on the plain side of the styrene sheet. And this obviously is going to be the side that's covered with corrugated metal sheets. The reason I'm using corrugated metal sheet, the styrene, is so I've got corrugation on the inside, because I didn't trust using just frame and lumber framing and corrugated metal for a shed sitting so close to the edge of the layout. And then I just scored out everything using the score and snap procedure, which gives nice sharp corners and straight bound borders. And there's only the one thing that the plan showed for me on the roadside wall, the office window was slightly lower than the other windows on it. Next slide. I used a truss to guide cutting the shed ends, and simply by parking it on top of the roadside wall, which is the full height wall, and over a piece of styrene cut to the wall width, and then used a hobby knife to the back of a hobby knife to score it and then snap it. Next slide. So the masonry section was fabricated from thick styrene strips, sort of a rectangular tube, if you want, and then covered with a single length of 20 thou brick embossed plasticard. I don't like joining plasticard, brick embossed plasticard at the corners. So what I did was fold the plasticard around the ends of the styrene by first filing V-slots into the back face of the plasticard at the fold points, and then giving them a generous coating of styrene cement, which softened up the slots enough that could bend the corners evenly. The key thing, of course, is that the length of the plasticard between the fold lines is 40 thou longer than it is than the former was. And I was quite pleased with the resulting corner. Although painting and weathering of the masonry was done later, I'll cover that process here now. The plasticard was sprayed in sort of an industrial blue-grey, and then a mortar wash of dirty white was flooded over the piece, allowed to almost dry, and then rubbed off the brick faces with cotton swabs. And then in this, occasionally bare plasticard, which you can see is kind of light tan colour, came through, which added tonal variety to the piece. And then it's been dusted with charcoal dust, not charcoal chalk, charcoal dust out of the fireplace, which I think produces a starker darkness. Next slide. Noticing time here, so trying to keep things moving. The corrugated side was, now we're talking about the inside wall framing. The corrugated side was sprayed light grey and allowed to cure for about a day. And then the framing was glued board by board to the sides and ends. I used CA in the first instance to hold everything in place quickly, but when all the framing was completed, I ran a bead of thinned matte medium along each piece of lumber. The great thing about matte medium is it provides a good, strong, durable bond between styrene and lumber. And the track spikes are just to hold everything in place while the matte medium dried. And speaking of track spikes, next slide. I noticed that the walls tended to bow inwards and outwards, so along the long axis, on particularly dry or humid days. And I took this as a sign of the lumber responding to the ambient humidity. So I sealed the timber with a coat of clear lacquer, and that seemed to eliminate the problem. Next slide. And the final one for today. So I took measures to further reduce the risk of bowing. So I made a 40 thou styrene base and glued styrene strip around the inside perimeter of the shed walls so that they could be glued to that strip when I was actually doing the assembly. The styrene P, as you can see in the middle there, to support the deck bearers when we get to that point. And then at the top, I added small braces to the trusses so that they will be glued to the wall top plates and hold everything nice and straight. So that's it for today. Next week, we'll cover making and fitting the interior details, the assembly of the structure, and some final touches. Thanks very much.
That was just fantastic. And any questions for Craig or comments? I have two takeaways from tonight. Bending the plastic brick material, scoring it, in a V and then bending it around to form and then hitting it with styrene is a technique that I'm not familiar with, and I think that's a takeaway. That's a great idea.
Thanks.
And the second takeaway was the thin matte medium, gluing it with ACC to hold things in place, and then taking the matte medium, running it inside as a bead along the styrene and the scale lumber. That's brilliant. So that's two takeaways that this old timer modeler hadn't heard of. And we always say about Nutrax modeling, doesn't matter whether you're new at modeling or you're an experienced scratch builder like Craig or myself, you always pick up something. And those were two really neat takeaways, I have to tell you. And it's a fantastic, that second shed, fantastic looking model. Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Any questions for Craig or comments?
Lee,
Breaking up.
outstanding work, sir.
Oh, there we go.
I said Lee here. Outstanding work, sir. Really like it.
Thank
very
you.
much. Yeah. Inspirational.
Really was
Cheers.
neat, really nice work. And it's great to have somebody all the way from Australia. That's just
Well, the outline might be Australian, but I think the techniques are, they're applicable across
absolutely.
prototype, obviously. So, but also I think across scales.
Oh yeah, for sure. And excellent modeling, and we're looking forward to part 2. And thank you for being mindful of the time, but the pace was
Cheers.
perfect. You did a great job.
Thank you.
Well, folks, that concludes tonight's show. We'll have the, I don't believe Father Ron is with us this evening, but we have a tradition on the show where we have Father Ron close the show, and then we have our caboose. If Phil wants to run the video here.
Almighty God, just as our models imitate the beauty of your creation, may we imitate your kindness and generosity to us in our relationship with others. Bless us now and always. Amen.
Thank you, Father Ron, Master Modeler, and we'll have you on the show doing some sort of build at some point in the future. And now we have a caboose. Phil?
So this Skylar mentioned, this is the layout of Dick Tomlinson, Michigan Shorts, an O-scale layout. Pretty amazing. I actually was able to operate there one night, and you kind of read this and see. The most impressive comment was this, if you read down here on the bottom, the PVC pipe. So Dick related this, that when he designed the layout, the architect built him a building that was 50 by 30. I don't know the exact dimensions. He designed the building to 50 by 30, but of course the 50 by 30 was the outside dimensions, and you have 6 or 7, 8 inches of foundation wall. So the interior was actually smaller, and he really didn't want to lose the track plan. So what he actually did was, out under the deck, he has a, I don't know, it's a probably 14-foot long piece of about 6-inch PVC pipe that a branch of a Y runs out into. So we'll go ahead and enjoy this. It was a fun layout to see and to operate on. That was Dick sitting there in the green shirt.
Well, that concludes our show for this evening. Excellent show. I thank everyone in the beginning for what's on your workbench and being literally unplanned and spotted, and everybody came through with flying colors. And we had two great presentations from Dennis and Craig, and a little international flair from Australia, of course, with Craig, and a great caboose. So we'll see you next Wednesday, same time, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern USA. Have a good evening.